This week is National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Registered dietitian Dawn Lundin of Restore Ease Dietetics joins me now to talk about the signs and symptoms and what you can do if you suspect a loved one is dealing with one. Good morning, Dawn. Thanks for joining me this morning. This is a really important conversation to talk about because in terms of mental health conditions, eating disorders are one of the top killers of people. About how many people are affected by eating disorders?
Yeah, the one thing that's really hard is we do have great research on, how many people are affected, but because of the diagnostic criteria, so for instance, say with like a commonly known eating disorder like anorexia nervosa, you really have to meet each of the criteria, and sometimes there's folks who might meet all but one, and that would mean that that individual would not be, diagnosed with that eating disorder. And so it really does impact more people than what we think. But when we think about the severity of eating disorders, there's one person that dies in our country every 52 minutes. And it's the second most leading cause of death in like mental illnesses. And so I think it's important this week to not only think about how many does it affect in our country, but then also like how many lives are lost, and that's significant.
Right, and then what we can do to help prevent those lives from being lost as loved ones if we're concerned about somebody in our lives, because I feel like eating disorders can be so nuanced. So how can you really pinpoint if someone is really struggling? But there might be some signs and symptoms that you can look out for. What would be some of those big ones?
Yeah, absolutely. So I try to think about things in three realms. So behavioral, emotional, and physical. And as I mentioned with anorexia nervosa, the physical signs and symptoms, someone might be having big swings in their weight, either up or down. They may be having issues with, dry hair, dry skin, maybe more acne, their nail health, things like that. And those are just kind of the body showing that it's not consistently getting enough nutrition. From an emotional standpoint, someone might be, more emotional, more withdrawn. So it really is the polar opposites of those emotions. And then from a behavioral standpoint, someone might be really like preferring to eat in private, disengaging from their friends and family. And so those are some really, big key signs in each of those realms that are helpful to be mindful of.
I feel like, isolation around food is a really big sign that maybe you might want to, ask your loved one if they're doing okay, feeling okay. At what point might it be time to start that conversation, or even to look at yourself and your own habits and think, I might need help?
Yeah, honestly, early detection is the best. Any symptom that's recognized, obviously, it's best when, someone who knows them well. It's not that I'm going to come into the station and, notice one thing, but keeping an eye on a pattern, but mentioning something early, coming out of a place of love and concern, and doing it in a private situation, not trying to stage an intervention or something like that, can be really helpful. And it can also, give the person some, confidence to get some support and recognize that they don't have to do this alone.
Approaching those conversations from a place of love and a place of care and not a place of judgment, I feel like could make all the difference, and especially in getting somebody to open up and seek help. I do have your website that I want to post up here on the screen. You can take a look at, find out more about Restore Ease Dietetics. This conversation is not over this morning, though. In about 30 minutes, we're going to continue talking about National Eating Disorder Awareness Week, talking about some of the treatment options. Plus, we are going to be showing you a healthy, really simple breakfast that you can make at home. So